give you $1 if you hit that gavel as soon as he walks in the door. You heard that?
If you do it 3 times, you give me $3.
No, my limit's one.
Buddy.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, y'all. How are you? Good.
So you got kids scattered all over the world tonight.
And then the rain.
I know. I was just saying that's what they're doing outside.
Yeah.
Of course.
Hope I soccer game all night. It's their night. It's their game.
Flip it up again.
Yeah. And Katie tried to praise.
Get off
I
the
thought it said band.
I think this is America.
No.
Play it around.
No band guard.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, well, you should be out here soon.
Such is life.
I called him an hour ago. He's coming.
Hey, Beach. Beach.
There's a ball game. I'm sure he
Maybe that's where he was.
probably is pushing it for the ball game.
Just let everybody know we're waiting just for the.
Hmm?
I say you just let everybody know we're waiting.
1 minute.
There comes, I think. Might be him.
I may do it.
No, that's not him.
No.
You could do it for Matt Walker too.
Yeah, I could do it for Matt. Yeah.
You stick that
Really?
in.
Drop the
Yeah.
gavel. Matt, you want to fill a role tonight? Totally kidding.
What he said?
Can't
Said I
sing
can't
that
sing that well.
Mhm. That was a good comeback. Yeah.
There you go. Double stepping.
Donna.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Baseball game.
You got
Fisher
you.
Mania.
I'm going to call you after that.
Good to see you.
Were they winning?
They're losing 1-0.
Mm,
You left.
I got to see 30 minutes. So that's
We're ready, sir. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 24th, 2024 Town of Kill Devil Hills Board of Commissioners meeting. I call this meeting to order. I invite everyone to please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we'll move on to our moment of silence. Okay. All right, our next order of business this meeting is our agenda. We have one before us.
Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Further comment? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 We have an agenda. All right, moving on, we have our public hearing.
this evening for Town Code Amendment, Chapter 71, Traffic Regulations. Casey, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll read a few rules. Public notice of this hearing has been published in the newspaper and posted on town bulletin boards and website that meets or exceeds statutory requirements for this subject matter. Copy of the public notice was filed with the town clerk for entry into the official record of the hearing. Town clerk is going to be recording all comments in a concise and brief manner. However, any written statements will be recorded in a similar manner, but also made part of the record as long as they're submitted in full to the town clerk. All speakers must come to the microphone so that your statement can be recorded. And then please just identify yourself by giving name and address. No debates during this hearing, and comments will be limited to a 3-minute time period for folks speaking individually, and then a 5-minute exception will be made if there's a spokesperson for a group or if your statement was submitted in writing. So this public hearing is now coming to order, and it's being called for the purpose of the Kill Devil Hills Board of Commissioners to consider the following: a Town Code Amendment to Chapter 71, Traffic Regulations, Chapter 71.25B, no through traffic permitted on certain streets or intersections within the town, elimination of code section to remove inconsistent or outdated ordinances. So I'll ask if anybody signed up. No signs? Okay, so we have no one signed up, so I'll just call from the audience if anybody wants to speak.
For the streets?
For the streets, yes, sir. Go right ahead. Just name and address when you get up there.
Yeah, I'm not a very good speaker. I can talk the ears off an elephant, but I ain't a good speaker. How about that? All right, my name is Kenny Pierce. I live in 1006th Avenue. I've lived there since 1988, and I've lived in Kill Devil Hills my whole life. I grew up on this beach. All right, well, what I'm getting at is the reason that 6th Avenue is a one-way street, because when they built these schools, I lived in that before any school was built out here. And I talked to the Overtons, that he was the architect, I believe, at that time. And I asked them then, when I was living in my house, when that high school was built over there, because I coached football at Manio High School for 15 years and 3 years at First Flight High School. And you open up 6th Avenue, I'm just going to tell you what happened in Manio. It opened up a racetrack for everybody. And Baum Street, I was told at the beginning, Baum Street was the exit for this school. I don't care how long they sit at a stoplight, because you used to drive a daggone school bus to school. Now every parent wants to drive their kid to school. I don't care about that, but they can sit at the school bus, not make a racetrack with the high school kids. When they get out, you know what a kid's going to do. On top of that, with all this said, I've called the chief 20 times over the years to patrol the speeders on 6th, the wrong wayers around that one-way street. I ain't seen him yet. Not one patrolman has been there. There is a lot of kids that ride bikes to school in the morning and walk down that street to school because it's safe. Somebody's going to get run over. Is it going to be your kid? My kids are all grown, but I'm looking out for the regular kids. And I've lived there for years. And there ain't nobody in this room that even knows me that would beg any difference. I'm thinking of the kids. And I'm not shit. I mean, excuse my friend, but I'm telling you, it's, I'm sorry. But anyway, it's really infuriating. We come to this town hall, Ben Spruill and some of us, we got no notification of this meeting. I heard it through the grapevine an hour ago. I would think you would have sent letters or give us some notification that live on that street to be here in this meeting. And this ain't right. They're trying to push that stuff through without letting us know about it, that we can have a leg to stand on it. I mean, I don't know. Kill Devil Hills or Dare County made this thing. Now they can fix this thing, and it ain't 6th Avenue fix. When they come over the top of that hill, there'll be mock speed when they come by my house. I promise you I've seen it. And if there's something else, it may be, but it's left from short notice that I just found out about it
and I can't get all my thoughts together, but it's very agitating. That's all I got to say. I wanted to hear about it, but I would like a little extension for this meeting so I can get my neighbors. I've already talked to Allison. She was in a meeting that she couldn't get off of, and she still wanted Allison True. I know that Lisa Hero, that just closed in her daddy's house, Mikey Rowe's house. I just stopped and talked to him on the way here. She don't want it. But that's all right. You don't have to take my word for it. I told them to send letters. And I'll see the rest of them neighbors because I've lived there longer than most all of them. And I'm going to not end this right now. That's all I can say, and be nice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm one of your neighbors too, Tim.
What's that?
And I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know about this
There's
until I
another
paid
one.
for the trash attack award.
Wouldn't it be
I
great?
didn't know about it.
You didn't?
I didn't know about
And
it.
you're a teacher.
I just want to. On the record also. My name is Karen Pierce, 1000 6th Avenue in Cordova Hills. I just want to go on the record that we're opposed to it because I feel like the road is already a hazard because of speeders. And we stopped to talk to one of her neighbors, and she has a Ring camera. And she said she sees, and I see it personally, especially when school is starting and when it's letting out, that they just race through here. So I just feel like if you have that going both ways, it's really just going to really step up the hazard. So I just want to be on the record that I oppose it.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
right.
Close public comment and turn it over to you guys.
All right. Well, we've gotten some good input tonight. We've gotten some on, I guess, in our neighborhoods and online as well. And I'll open it up to the board for discussion. What are your thoughts?
I can't hear him a lick. I'm hard to hear him, but I can't hear nothing he
Okay.
say.
I'll be loud for you.
There we go.
All right.
As loud as you can.
If I got to holler, we'll holler. We'll get it to you. All right.
Go ahead.
But how does the board feel?
I mean, I'll go ahead and start because I live on the other side of 6th. So not some of you know, but I live on Swan. So I live on the racetrack. I live where
No debates. No debates.
I do. They go both ways. They turn, ideally they go to Ballman, they go to the stoplight. They don't. They turn on Swan Street. So I hear your point, and I completely understand that. I'm not 100% for opening it, but I think there is going to be a time in the very near future where it's not going to be an option when we have the two developments going in that are going in that neighborhood further south. I'll make two really good points that I have observed. Not only do I live on Swan, but I am one that picks up my child in a car every day. And sometimes she walks home. And I go down 6th because it's dangerous to turn left off of Swan. So going down 6th on Monday afternoon, a UPS truck turned illegally down 6th, and we were almost head to head. That happens. I see it. In addition to that, I walk every day in that neighborhood. I walk my dog every single day. See lots of people all the time out walking, and I'm always at that corner. That is a very frequent occurrence. And so I think we have our staff saying that would make it easier. We obviously have delivery people that clearly think it would be easier for it to be open. So that happened Monday. Then Tuesday, I was stopped at Ballman 6th turning left, and caught the new houses. For those who are not familiar with this area, another important thing to know about this area is that there are 7 new builds north of Swan, and there are 7 or 8 south of Swan. So it backs up at pickup and drop off as I'm sure you have seen if you've been in that neighborhood. So a car was backing up from the driveway and literally just this far from backing up into me. So 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, back up. I'm not saying opening 6 would alleviate that. I'm not saying it's the right answer. There is no right answer in this situation. We are alleviating a very massive amount of traffic into a very small space. There is no right answer. But the more we have developments to the south and in that neighborhood, at some point it may become necessary. And right now, Swan Street is bearing the brunt of all of that neighborhood traffic. I see it every day. So that's, and for the record, I was not the one who brought up to change this. It's been like that. I've been in my house. I used to garden with your dad 24 years ago. I've been in my house for 24 years. It's been like that since the schools. Again, maybe it doesn't need to happen today, but I believe that in the future it's probably going to be necessary. That's my thought.
No,
There's
no debate.
yeah.
Anybody else from the board like to chime in?
I recall back when they built the schools, the thought process was that traffic would come out of the schools, go to Baum, and then exit through the stoplight on the bypass. And that's probably something you can't control how the cars go, but that was the intent. And I can't see that opening up 6th Avenue is going to do anything other than just channel the cars right straight down 6th Avenue with nowhere to go. I mean, that was my biggest concern when I first saw this, was that they were going to go throughout the neighborhoods even more. I think now they have a clear sense of being able to get to the bypass and the stoplight. I don't think it's a good idea. I really don't. I think you're going to create a lot of problems if you do that. How many, do we have any idea of how many calls we've had into the police department for the people that have been going the wrong way? Or
No, sir, I don't.
I'd be interested in finding out what that is and see how many calls we've had into the police department where people have reported, people going the wrong way. It's just, to me, people break laws. They do it all day long on the bypass, speeding. They run stop signs. I don't think you're going to cure anything by doing it. I think you're going to create a bigger problem. That's just my opinion. I felt that way back when it was done. I feel that way now.
Anybody else?
I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on the issue here. Sort of to Ivy's point about maybe this isn't an issue that we have to address or change today.
Dylan,
Today?
would you speak in the microphone?
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying that I'm sort of in the middle on this issue, and that maybe to Ivy's point, this isn't a problem that we have to address immediately. Maybe there is more further study required than what we have at present, perhaps. Just my thought.
For me, I don't have. Yes, sir.
Speak
Hi.
into the microphone.
For me,
Microphone.
I don't have a position either way. I think, yeah, I mean, it's just another way to filter the students in and out of the school, and I think that's probably would be helpful to open it. But at the same point, I don't think it's going to alleviate a lot of traffic either. So, for the people in the neighborhood that object to it because it's been that way, I understand that, but I also seems somewhat arbitrary that it's closed as well. So, so I respect what you're saying, living on that block. I think the schools are busy enough to want some more arteries to get out, So, for that purpose, I think, and I'm sure it is ignored. I'm sure it's ignored by by a number of people. So I'm on the fence. I could go either way, but I think that, it is somewhat arbitrarily closed off at this point. So
I too pretty conflicted on this. It's a tough decision, and both sides have pros and cons. Reading the paperwork, preparing for this, the theme from the town was improving emergency response times. And Chief Tilley, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but is there, to your knowledge, have you ever had an instance where, that partially blocked road prevented an emergency vehicle from addressing a call, or they had to be rerouted to a longer response?
I can't recall anything well offhand. Anytime we do have a response, though, we want the quickest route possible. So,
Understood.
that's our point. We want to get there as fast as we possibly can. If it's down home or down Veterans, whatever way, we want to try to get there as fast as possible. So.
obviously you have some license to break some rules when you're going to responding to a fire, but you couldn't even fit an
No.
engine through there is what you're
No.
saying.
No.
There's no way to fit an engine
No.
through there.
Well, I mean, I could probably get an engine through there.
Oh, you could. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You'd be in
You just got to go around that little guide right there.
Okay. That's good to know. It's relevant.
In the everyday scheme of things, what is the closest, in the everyday scheme of things, what is the closest stoplight for exit? It would be what, Martin,
From there, yeah. It's-
if they went down there? See, and I think that was, part of the reason of the decision process too, to try to funnel it down Baum. And maybe we need to study it a little more here.
We were just looking at the increased development from when the schools were built and it was put in. But there is no time urgency at all. No, sir.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't
would
think
say-
it's a good idea. I
say
really
wait on
don't.
it then and see
Maybe.
what those developments do and see, once they're there, study it again and see what that does for traffic.
And then
Just
open
a
it up
suggestion.
again for further comment. Try to,
Yeah.
make sure that now it's on everybody's mind. We can
Right,
revisit it and
right,
more people can come if they
Right.
object to it and they can give the reasons why.
And also I would say
I'm
too, if you're not on the sunshine list, please get on that because all of this goes out in that. So it's just one way for you to be, we at the last meeting, we intentionally held off so that we would give everyone 30 days. But if you're not on the sunshine list or if you're not, so just a plug for that, like get on the sunshine list because that's how you see what's happening in your neighborhoods or what changes might be coming. So it's just the sunshine list is the town list, right?
It's our
So-
email.
It's our email. Yeah.
So do we want to
So-
hold off on this or what's the?
Move to table.
I mean, I'm fine.
It's also advertised in the Coastland Times.
I mean, we'll
Go
have
ahead,
to
do it. One second.
deny it with revisiting
Well, sometimes you have
or
to
just deny
make
it with
the effort.
revisiting it.
Deny it.
Casey,
Yeah.
Does
move
For
to
voting
table it.
purposes, so if you guys are wanting to wait, let's say it that way, the move is not to table. The move would be to deny. If you wanted to
Okay.
wait, based on Commissioner Ingram's idea of wait and see, right? When the development comes in, we'll recast this thing. So if that's the route, just for y'all's knowledge, I would say a
Deny.
motion for denial would be more appropriate than tabling.
'Cause you'd have to
I would
table
move
it
to
the-
deny this.
Exactly. If we
proposal.
table it, it's got to be to a certain date,
Date.
essentially,
Yeah.
and we don't. There's no way.
I
We
just
could
made a
come up-
motion.
Yeah.
I'll
got it.
second that and
Was that a motion to deny?
Yes.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay.
and I second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of a motion to deny this
Yeah.
update, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion or the update is denied.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next piece of business. We're opening up our first opportunity for public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to address the board on any topic of their choosing. We do ask that when you are called upon, approach the podium, speak into the microphone, and identify yourself by name and address. There will be no debates. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes if you are speaking on as an individual, and 5 minutes or if you are speaking on behalf of the group. And if you have any written remarks, please turn them into our town clerk. So the podium is open if anybody would like to speak at public comment.
My name is Bruce White. People know me as Woody. Live at 508 Loblolly Court, Kill Devil Hills. I was here back in January. I think most of the commissioners were here except maybe Mr. Gray, Commissioner Gray. Since then, I've had to deal with the building inspector's office again. I gave each one of you a copy of a survey of my property. I had the fence put in and it was permitted about 2 years ago. A year ago, I added a pool to the property inside the fence. When the final completion was done, Marty Shaw told me that I needed to make a solid fence on the outside for safety reasons. And I complied with that. I saw the concerns of possibly a child being able to cross over. Once that was completed and inspected, I think it was Jordan that came out, Jordan Bly, I believe is his last name. He told me it was complete, satisfactory. He left, and I got a call a little bit later from, I believe, Cameron. Is there a Cameron that works? Okay. Cameron told me I needed to get a as-built survey. When I applied for this permit, the fence was already there. That was already within my bounds. I have a large lot, 0.6 of an acre. It's unusually large for this area. You can see that what I highlighted in yellow, that's the square footage on the existing survey, and I added the square footage for both the shed and the pool. It brought my coverage from 13% coverage to 16%, which is half of what I'm allotted. The fence didn't move. The fence was well within my property. When it was inspected, Marty came out, and because I pulled a line from one corner to the next, and my fence was there, he said, "You're well within your property lines. I'm not going to make you get an as-built for your fence." Evidently, they do that if somebody is in a small lot and they want to put it right up to the edge, and I could see those concerns. I have those concerns. The pool is almost 40 foot off my property line. When the health department came in, I knew that I had to be 15 foot from the septic field. They came in with a tape measure. They didn't come in saying you have to get a survey. And they determined that I was well within their boundaries. So that was never an issue. You could see the stamp from the health department approving my distance from the septic. I think it's an unnecessary expense. I can see if you're in a 5,000 square foot lot and you're trying to put in a small pool, trying to get your fence as big as you can, take up as much property. In my case, I don't want to maintain that much yard. So I only did a portion of my yard large enough to put a pool in the future. They talked about it, called me back the next day when I brought this up to them, because they were the only two reasons: percentage of my property that is built on and setbacks. Both of those were shown to them. Both of them had previously been surveyed. And I just see no reason for me to have to spend another $1,000 just to show them that pool is in my backyard. Okay. And I'm going to stick around. I'd like to hear what you have to say, because I just think it's a lot of unnecessary expenses, and I don't see a reason why I should have to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have another copy?
Yes.
All right. Would anybody else like to speak at our first public comment period? Doug?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and guests. Sorry, thank you. My name is Debbie Swick. I live at 59 Deer Path Lane, Southern Shores, and I am the creator of Band Balloon Releases NC. I am thrilled to see the resolution on your agenda this evening. Again, I will ask that you do consider an ordinance in place of a resolution. As a resolution says you shouldn't do that, an ordinance says you can't do that. I have participated in Trash Attack, Keep It Clean Kitty Hawk, which I helped organize and create, and Southern Shores Cleanup for Earth Day. I've seen a lot of garbage this month, and there were balloons in there, and I can see from the poster, even the young people care about the cleanliness of the ocean. I would ask that, again, you remember that a balloon is, although it falls under the litter ordinances that do exist, it is not considered litter until it is released. And a helium or gas-filled balloon, once it is released, is unretrievable. And that's when the damage occurs. So please, as much as I respect and appreciate you with offering the resolution, please do consider joining Duck and Southern Shores and invoking a resolution. I was contacted by the Coalition for Responsible Celebrations, which is a conglomerate of all of the major balloon manufacturers in the United States. I am working with them, as well as Balloon Mission, which is an environmental organization, and with my senator. We are working on a national campaign. While that may not impact you here, your creation of an ordinance sends such a message to the visitors and to the residents as well. So I thank you so very much for putting up with me these past few months, and I appreciate all that you've done. But please do consider an ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, would anybody else like to speak in our first public comment period? Huh? All right, guys, seeing no takers, we can move on to response to public comment. Mr. White, well, I guess Meredith, I'll maybe ask you, can you kind of give the town side of the story, just as we're here?
When the addition is done to a single family dwelling, the owner has two options. They can submit a drawing at the time of permitting with an as-built at completion, or they can submit a sealed survey with the addition on it showing lot coverage, setbacks, and everything. And then that at completion is confirmed on site with tape measures because it was put on the plan by a licensed surveyor. So it's a one or the other option. Mr. White chose to draw the pool on his site plan and do his own calculations for lot coverage. Our ordinance 153-355C requires that any addition be, sealed and signed by a person duly authorized by the state law, and a survey sealed and signed by a North Carolina licensed surveyor locating the house and all appurtenances on the lot. This would be required either at the beginning or the end. He chose the end, and that's why the as-built survey is being required. It is by ordinance.
Okay. This is a universal expectation. Everyone who
Does an addition.
does an addition.
Fences don't require as-built surveys. Fences are put along the property line. You have to do a string line for a fence prior to installation, and then you have to do a string line for the fence at the completion of installation to show the property line. If you do not have your pins, you have to get a surveyor to come out and place your pins. So there is also a method for fences, but any addition to a site requires a licensed surveyor either at the beginning or the end. And Mr. White chose the end.
Very good. Any other response to public comment? It's time. Debbie, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your hard work. We will discuss your campaign a little bit later, but nice to see you. And Mr. White, if you'd like to speak again, we have a second public comment period later in the agenda, and you're welcome to address the board at that time. All right, if there's no more response to public comment, we will move on to our next item, which is introductions and presentations, our Trash Attack Community Cleanup and Poster Contest recognitions.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Thank you for having me. I am Sandy Markland. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the chair for 2024 Trash Attack, which is an annual event in this town where we come out in the spring and clean up our town in advance of the season to make sure it looks as bright and beautiful as it possibly can. This year, we had 100 volunteers and staff who collected 22 cubic yards of trash and 5 bulk tons of trash. And at this point, I would like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and you, Mr. Hikins, for clearing up an enormous trash problem at the base of Clamshell, and you, Mr. Gray.
I was going to say, we both got called by the mayor and we had to get there quick.
Right. And thank you so much for identifying that and getting people in there to clean that up. That was huge. And
Oh, yeah.
Ivy, thank you so much for being one of our zone captains, as you always are. We appreciate your participation, the participation of our town manager, Debbie Diaz, our deputy town manager, Charlene Allen, our town clerk, Michael Odell, members of the Kill Devil Hills Fire Department, Police Department, and I'm sorry, Derek. Public Services, we could not do it without them. So we are blessed to have town officials and employees who involve themselves on their off time to keep our town great. Part of our annual event is our poster contest. And what you see before you are the 3 winning posters this year. The one in the center is the first place prize winner. That was done by Ella Ogburn. She is in 11th grade at First Flight High School. She could not join us this evening because she has a very busy schedule, but she did an awesome job. The other 2 posters, when I call your name, if the poster creator could go up and stand next to your poster, that would be great. Don't be afraid. I'm going to come up there with you. Bailey Bell, grade 5 at Nags Head Elementary School. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Cora Francie, grade 3 at Nags Head Elementary School. And parents, if you want to get a clear shot
You're looking
of
at
Yeah,
your
we're
child receiving their certificate, please feel free. Bailey, let's do you first. Commissioners, if you want to get in the back of the shot, that would be awesome.
All right. I don't know what to do.
You can stand up. Now they're going to work behind you. We have for you, whoops, oh my gosh. The certificate, but we also have for you this, which is your prize, okay? And you can open that up when you get back to your seat, but let's get your picture. Go ahead and hold on to that. Can you see the artwork? Excellent. Everybody got it? Thank you so much. Cora?
I don't know what now.
You can see on my
Okay, so he's
shuttle.
not a commissioner anymore.
Bailey, I'm gonna bring this back for you to get a bag.
Slide down.
Okay, everybody down here. Okay, your prize is in here. But this is so much better. Grab that and smile for your dad.
Very nice.
Good job.
And each one of these winning posters will be produced as a claim and put on the side of a town trash. So be on the look for your very own trash truck.
I'm gonna get her bag.
Don't forget your bag.
Very nice.
All right, and congratulations to all the winners and their families of our Trash Attack poster contest. It's probably, I can't think of a more fun thing we get to do on this board all year than give those awards out. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Town manager, any ongoing business this evening?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move on to new business item number 1. Town code amendment, overnight parking at beach accesses.
Yes, sir. Staff is requesting that the board consider incorporating an amendment to Town Code Chapter 72, stopping, standing, and parking in certain places, et cetera. This would be beach access parking, which would prohibit overnight parking at the town beach accesses from midnight to 3 a.m. What we're striving to do is a balance between our stakeholders, including our residents, businesses, and the general public, but at the same time, maintaining access to our beaches, easy access for people to use that. And we think that this would eliminate some possibly abuse of our beach accesses used for overflow parking at some of our other houses on the beach.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And our intent would be more of an informative notion as opposed to towing and those kind of things.
Okay.
But we think that's a reasonable window. It allows for the early birds that get out early fishing or when you see the sunrise.
All right. Board, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't like it personally. I think it's 12 o'clock it allows 12 to 3 allows for the early birds to fish, but it doesn't necessarily allow for the late night people. I know it. And also, moreover, if you're saying it's just going to be a notice, but not a ticket or not a tow, then I don't know the purpose of it.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. I meant possibly tickets, yes.
Okay.
But I mean, the intent isn't to go in there and tow a large number of vehicles. It's just that some of our residents have indicated that when they go out in the mornings, it's noticeable to them that some of these lots are being used for overflow parking on some of the other houses that are located on the beach.
Right, but in turn, I mean, my opinion, in turn, it punishes. It basically punishes everybody. If you were to put, maybe personally, if you were to put like a time period, like Memorial Day to Labor Day or something like that, maybe I would think that would be fair. But I still don't like it because, I mean, plenty of people are out after midnight out here on the Outer Banks. I don't like the restriction. Nags that has it. And in fact, well, anyway, Nags that has it. And I don't agree with it. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I get when someone's using it for overflow parking for a large house, and that's unfortunate. And obviously, if we could just target that group, that would be fine. But this has an impact on everybody who lives here. So, I mean, after midnight, I've never gone to the big beach after midnight. So I have. So
I'll play devil's advocate a little bit with you. You're saying it doesn't help the people who live here, but I know I've been to beach accesses in Kettleville Hills at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and they're almost full. And if there are many, many accesses where at least a third of the cars at that access are parked from the house next door. And they're, it's obvious. You see them, you know that they're there.
But doesn't this have a disparate impact on the fact that if you were to go to the beach late at night, or you were to go to the beach anytime after midnight, which a lot of people do. I think a lot of people do actually. That this is going to punish them for those people who decide to park there overnight to save a spot for the next day or whatever. Which, I get it. But
I don't think they're
no way-
saving a spot for the next day. They're parking there. They're
I
using
know.
it as
Well,
overflow parking. So that's different.
Whatever reason they're improperly doing it. This has an impact on everybody else that has nothing to do with that. So this is
I
why
think
it's
as
bad.
many, if you could find 10 people that really wanted to be there after midnight, you could find 100 who tried to get there at 10 o'clock and couldn't
Disagree.
find a
If we open
spot.
this to
But
public comment, I think you'd find a lot of people would not agree with
I don't know. I know a lot of people who don't even try to go to the beach in Kettleville Hills anymore because it's full.
But it's
they're
targeting
full.
people overnight parking, right?
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
what it's targeting, which
Yeah, but if you see if a cop sees a car parked in that's unoccupied, parked in the lot, and they're out walking on the beach, then they're going to get ticketed.
I have a question.
They're
Is
not
it
gonna wait
possible to
see if he comes
do?
back? And, they're not going to wait around to see if the guy comes back, or if he's he's not going to go onto the beach and find out if the guy's walking on the beach or whatever it is. It's just
I wouldn't think they would ticket it, like if they happen to see it the first time. I don't think they would ticket it then. I think if they come back 3 hours later, 4 hours later, and it was still there.
Well, I mean,
And
this
if-
ordinance is not going to come with instructions on how the police are
Well,
supposed to do their job.
that's true, but I mean, they do a pretty good job.
No, I do think they'll use discretion. I agree, but they won't have to. So, with this ordinance.
I mean,
Awful quiet down there, Commissioner Heikens.
yeah, I already thought it was illegal, actually. So I guess I was thinking of exit, but
Illegal to go to the beach after midnight.
to park overnight there. or
No.
something like that.
To, under this rule, you'd be parking your car, go walk on the beach. You could get a ticket while you're on the
Could get a
beach.
ticket while you're on the beach. I
Yeah.
understand that. That's kind of, I mean, are we thinking of our beach accesses as potentially as being usable for, let's say, overnight parking for a restaurant that has late activities or something like that? I'm trying to think of an
It
example.
shouldn't be overnight parking for anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought they already. I didn't think they were
Yeah,
allowable
Yeah,
to
but
be used.
overnight is the key word.
Right.
Are the cars staying there overnight? That no one's going to wait around to see if they stayed there overnight.
Right. I feel like, I don't know. My thought is if you do have a situation where an access is near, say, a restaurant that is open late, somebody goes there and leaves their automobile because they shouldn't be driving. My concern is they try to move the thing, is my thought. But that's just a passing comment.
You've taken it to a whole different level.
I tell you what. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you want to have a super narrow window from 3 to 4.
Yeah, I mean,
because the fishermen aren't there, and pretty much everybody's asleep between 3 and 4.
essentially, I'm
Unless
saying
you work
that-
nights. Think about people that work nights. They might or work days. They might like to go to the beach at night.
Could you do 1 hour parking between the hours of midnight and 3?
I mean,
I think-
I'm on the side
I mean,
of not doing
if
it.
you really want to
but-
go to the beach at 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning, go for an
Yeah.
hour. I mean, I don't.
I think it would have less of an impact if you did have like an hour.
Yeah.
1 hour, like 3 to 4. That way, you'd have to move your car, and 3 o'clock's really early in the morning.
Well, I think the idea is to send the message to the people who are using it as overflow, like you can't do this.
Yeah, but laws,
So what's
in my estimation, are not meant to send messages. They're meant to either be enforced or not.
right? But I mean, we can't post that sign unless it's a law. So that's
Correct.
I've
So-
seen what you're talking about, where
Yeah.
the houses are
Oh, for
used
sure.
for parking lots.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
not
not
fair
right
with that.
because people go to the beach, then they
absolutely
can't park.
Right. Just because
So-
that house happens to be right next door to one.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I don't
Correct.
like.
I've seen that. Because I see them come out of the house and go get in the car and leave
Uh-huh.
in the morning.
with suitcases. Yeah.
No,
for sure.
nobody likes that, but it's a 12. We all live here. The ones that live here are the ones that are going to be affected worse by this ordinance. You know what I'm saying? The ones that live here are going to be ones that are going to get ticketed.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? We don't want that. Nobody wants those people to abuse the public access by parking their cars overnight for overflows. Nobody wants that. That's clear. But to create a law that's going to, basically impact all the residents here. This is what this is.
Right.
I mean, if you were to have a 1 hour, like a 4 hour, where that could make sense to me, because that could be an hour where really nobody's probably up, and it's not affecting the fishermen who might be on the beach with their car parked there. If you want to enforce something, but to have a law that's not enforced is even worse.
Right.
I'm leaning towards Commissioner Ingram's points, but Commissioner McAvoy brought something up that kind of resonated with me. Is I'd like to hear what police's plans are for enacting and what do they want to accomplish with this? How do they plan to patrol our beach accesses at night? And can I get a little more of their input on what this process would potentially look like if we do enact it? So it's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, my thing is an ordinance is not going to tell the officers how to do their jobs. So they could give you, one chief could give you this answer, a chief from 6 years from now might give you a different answer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they'll be able to enforce it as it's spoken. They may change their different policy with a different chief, over time. So,
You-
I mean,
you-
that's what happens. That's what happens with laws, right? It's not going to tell the officers how to do their job. They're going to have the ability to enforce it per the statute or per the ordinance.
You mentioned Nags Head earlier. What do they do?
I'm thinking, I know they took it. They took
Will they have no parking after a certain hour?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have some sort of they have they're very interested in their revenue source of ticketing. That's for sure. I'll say that.
Well, this discussion could add some life to it.
Yeah, I mean,
There we
actually,
go.
convenience is a bigger thing than we're making it out to be. You know what I'm saying? Like I think this would interest a lot of people in our community as to, basically saying after midnight, you can't use the beach access. That's basically what it's saying. So your car's going to be parked there while you're walking. I don't understand why that's and we're going to do this just to punish. We're going to punish everybody just to possibly get a few people that park overnight because at the beach access out of towners. We're going to punish all our citizens of Kill Devil Hills. That doesn't make any sense to me.
See, and on the flip side of that, it's not a punishment. You're benefiting.
No,
So you're,
it's a punishment. You get a fine. When
but
you
the
get a fine, it's a
benefit is
punishment.
that you might have a clear access in the morning and there might be places
That
to park.
benefit is not outweigh the risk. of
In your
punishment.
opinion.
In my opinion, and I bet you a lot of others' opinions as well. I mean, unless you own a beach house, I do not. So
Well,
I just don't
after
think you're going to get a resident to park overnight. And I think this targets the overnight
Right.
parker
I think so.
and stops it.
it targets anybody that goes to the beach and leaves the car after midnight for even a minute. It targets everybody that parks at the access that goes to walk on the beach after midnight.
Can we find out if it's possible to do 1 hour parking between the hours of, say, 12 and 4? Is that a possibility?
You mean for someone to be allowed to park? I don't know how we would monitor that.
Well, then I was thinking now you're getting into
I don't either,
parking meter
Yeah,
rates or
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Actually, the
Yeah.
1 hour idea is not a bad idea. To say, all right, that 1 hour, 3 to 4, now we can catch people. They're not going to come out of their house to move their car in that hour. So maybe that's the ticket. 3 to 4, very tight window.
Yeah.
Now we
Or
catch overnight
even 12 to
parkers,
3,
you
but
know?
it
So
sends
what
the
you're saying
message
is
like, don't
parking
park
for a
here.
3-hour period only. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that if there's a car parked there between 3 and 4, that's a pretty good chance that's an overnight parker. Let's just say.
That might be when the blues are running.
Well, then you catch a fisherman. I'm not gonna like. They're not gonna like it as well. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's gonna like this, to be honest. That lives here.
I think you can determine if it's an overnight parking car,
Well, then you're talking about then looking at plates and are they out of state, and that's not really allowable for the officers.
No, but if they come by a beach access and they see a car and then they come back 5 hours later and see the same car and then
No, for sure.
5 more hours and they see the same car, then that car is parked overnight.
For sure.
If it's seen
And I
at
think-
midnight and then they come back at 3 a.m. and it's still there, then
Yeah.
it's officially parked overnight. If they come at midnight and it's gone at 1,
Absolutely,
It's
but
not.
that's not how the code will read. It will not say if officer sees at 12, then officer sees again at 3. That's not how it's going to read, and it can be enforced in any way possible. That's why you're very careful about how you draft ordinances. I mean, everybody knows that.
So you put if it's parked there more than 5 hours, you tow it.
Hmm.
I don't know what I don't know what the
if
answer
you
is.
want to keep a clock on the car.
Okay. Well, would anyone like to take action on this tonight? There's lively discussion, so we can. We can look for a motion. We could table for more further discussion and research.
I'll move to table it for further discussion and research and feedback from the people of the town.
All right.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to table the motion. When would we like to bring this back up on the agenda?
Personally, never, but in 6 months would be a good time.
30 days would be adequate, and maybe that would be the first June meeting with the way the schedule falls. But
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not going to be this is not going to be something that's subject to public comment, correct?
subject to a public hearing?
A hearing.
Right. It's not that type of.
No,
It's
no.
certainly up to you. I mean,
Yeah,
It
that's
could
a,
be.
you can set a public hearing for any item.
Yeah, I would recommend that. I think this
you
is
were made
something
motion table it.
a motion to table it, and then at a future at a future time,
Amendment.
Yeah, having it be to public hearing for sure.
So when would be the date that you would have it tabled to? We need a date certain.
Yeah, I don't have the dates in front of me, but I think
Just give me a month and I can tell you the date of the
I would say
meeting.
like July or something. Just need some time.
We have a meeting June 10th. Is that too close or do you?
I think it's too close, but
You have a second meeting in June on the 26th.
maybe that would be good. That should be good. Let's do that.
Or
If
your
that's-
first meeting in July would be July 8th.
Okay, I'll move to table this to the June 26th date for, and also ask that it be put on for public hearing at the time.
Okay. So we have a,
You don't need to table it, do you?
Is your intent to set a public hearing on this or is your intent to table it?
Public hearing.
Yes, so you
So-
wouldn't table it.
So you want to set a public hearing for June 26th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I move, I'm in my motion, and I move to have this put on for public hearing on June 26th.
There you go.
all right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Who was the
I'll second it again.
Okay.
Second.
Amended one.
We have a motion and a second to revisit this at a public hearing in our June 26th meeting. If we don't have any further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? We're going to have another public hearing. Our Casey won't be able to sneak off early that week. Wow, and it's another. I'm going to take my opportunity, another reason to be on the sunshine list so everybody can find out about the public hearing in advance. All right. Let's, the next item of new business on this agenda is appointments. We have positions to fill on the Planning Board, Board of Adjustments, Community Appearance Commission, and Dangerous Animals Appeals Board. I guess we will just go down the list. Our first position is Mike Lowack's term has expired. He did not wish to be reappointed, and I think we should take a moment to thank Mike for all his service on the planning board. He was on it
Yes.
before I was, way back in the day. And he worked hard on that board, should have prepared, asked a lot of questions, was really engaging, and did a really nice job.
Did a great job.
But I'll open it up for discussion on nominations. Who would the board like to see fill that spot?
Had previously discussed, I hope I don't mess this name pronunciation up, but Jennifer Albanese, I believe, as a very strong
right.
candidate, I believe. How does the board feel about her? I've lost my notes.
Jennifer Albanese is a really conscientious citizen of this town. I think she'd be great personally.
Right, so we have a motion to appoint Jennifer Albanese to the planning board. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Jennifer. Next appointment is to the Board of Adjustments. We have an alternate and regular member position available. Blake Culpepper's turn as an alternate member is up, as is Ron Seidman's as a regular member. Both have expressed a desire for reappointments. What say you, board? What are your thoughts?
Both.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to reappoint Blake Culpepper as an alternate, Ron Simon as a regular member to the Board of Adjustments. Any further comments?
No, sir.
Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Congratulations, Blake and Ron.
Yeah, and I've watched that Board of Adjustments in action, and they do a great job. I think Mike Nowak was the
Sure.
or is still
He's
okay.
still
He's
the
still
chair.
the chair of that
Yeah.
group. And anyway, it's they do some really good work that we don't see.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Community Appearance Commission. Joe Williams' term has expired. She's expressed a desire to be reappointed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Joe Williams to the Community Appearance Commission. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Congratulations, Joe. He does a lot of good things. All right. Well, a lot of appointments. Dangerous Animal Appeals Board. Christine Stafford's term has expired, and she has expressed willingness to serve again. Out of curiosity, when's the last time that board actually had to meet? I know it's on a case-by-case basis, but it's
It's been
a long
2022, the town clerk indicates.
2022. Okay, that's
It's
they don't.
good.
I guess it's a good thing they don't
It is
get
a good
called
thing. That's
called
great.
upon too
Yes,
too
sir.
much. So, Ms. Stafford has expressed a desire to be reappointed. What does the
So
board say?
moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Congratulations, Ms. Stafford. All right, new business item number 3, letter of support for Mid Currituck Bridge. Town manager, can you
Yes, sir.
Fill us in.
This was a request that the town received for the Mid-Currituck Bridge and the North Carolina Turnpike Authority's application for a $424 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation to expedite the construction of the project. The other thing this grant would free up any monies that would come out of the DOT budget for this division, which is the division that we're in.
Oh. All right. Well, how does the board feel about?
I think we need to support it.
All right.
Makes sense.
Would anybody like to make a motion of support?
Motion or consensus? I move to direct staff to offer a letter of support for the Mid Currituck Bridge.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay. That would be nice. A lot of money to leave available
Mhm.
for the rest of the northeastern North Carolina. Okay, moving on. The next item on our agenda is committee reports.
None here.
Any down here?
Okay.
Huh? I'll just mention that I attended the April 16th Housing Task Force Committee meeting. It was nice. Donna Creef was there as well, and that has become a very active group with a lot going on. So as more work happens, I'll be happy to share and report it. So okay, commissioner's agenda.
The only thing I wanted to say is I personally been using the dog park a lot lately, and really great. Of course, everybody loves the dog park in the town. It's one of the best. I would like you guys to consider maybe a little more light out there for when it's dusk or a little darker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if we want to encourage people to be there overnight or in the dark, but it does get rather dark there pretty quick, and that's one thing that some people have said to me. You know, as a commissioner with his dog there, they said, "Oh, you're commissioner. What do you think about? You know, we'd like to see this." So, just something to think about. I think some of the lights around the Turtle Pond path are also not lighting up, or maybe they're something to maybe look at, but they're not. Maybe enough light could come from that, but there is a post there that could like lean a light possibly over top of the dog park as it gets darker. But anyway, just a great spot, and I'm proud that we have such a good spot.
Anybody else, Commissioner agenda?
The only thing I wanted to mention is they finally got some aluminum in the air on Lake Drive.
They did. I noticed that today.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be completed before too long.
Right.
It's been a long wait.
It has been a long
Thank
way.
you, town manager, for your efforts in keeping, I've seen some of the letters you've sent to them, and thank you for keeping them on the roll.
Anybody else?
I just want to thank Sandy for Trash Attack. It was
Yeah.
a wonderful day, great effort, and we appreciate you for doing that always. Yeah, and I see the dog park too. And even when they have the Christmas lights are out there, when the holiday lights are out there, it's lit really nicely just with that.
Just
so,
that, yeah, that helps. Yeah. So that
probably
could be-
wouldn't take a whole lot.
Is Paws Park open 24 hours? Does it have no restriction? Okay.
We haven't had any issues with overnight dogs.
Oh, wow. What about between 3 and
I think I
4?
park my dog there overnight.
Yeah. No, I was actually going to say the same thing. But thanks, Sandy, and an excellent presentation. Thank you.
May I say one more thing?
Sure.
The light at Avalon that we had discussed at one point, and I think DOT said no, but I think it was good foresight on the people that brought that up.
Mhm.
I do believe it. I don't know if they said no because of the way it is now or the way it's going to be, but I think it is. I think we're going to need a light to break traffic in that area once Wawa's in and the car wash and obviously Target's popular. So it's just changing that part of Kibble Hills so much, and it's almost hard to get out and around there. So
Mhm.
the people of Avalon that brought that forward, it may be something that we need to look at again once these businesses are in place. And maybe DOT will look again or have a second look because we have lights on lights on lights on lights now on this end, but that end is now getting developed and it's going to be hard to get out for people. That's all.
All right. Any more commissioner comments? All right. Hearing none, I'll move on to mayor's agenda. A few things to share. First, as been previously alluded to, a couple proclamations. The first one is a resolution opposing the release of helium balloons. The town of Kidouble Hills boasts a pristine coastline and a beautiful environment that has attracted visitors for decades. Our often fragile environment is negatively impacted by litter, debris, and threats to our wildlife, which include improperly disposing of helium and lighter-than-air balloons. Balloons that have traveled up to 1,000 miles have washed up on our shores, clogged our waterways, and killed and maimed our wildlife. With this resolution, the town encourages the education of the public to promote the proper disposal of all balloons and to consider possible alternatives. Whether a resident preparing for a birthday party, a local business looking to attract attention to its signage, or a regular OBX vacationer 3 states away releasing a balloon, Kidouble Hills encourages everyone to consider the environmental impact of their decisions. In saying that, I will make the motion to approve the resolution opposing the release of helium balloons.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes. All right. Our next is a proclamation declaring peace officers Memorial Day, May 15th, 2024, and Police Week, May 12th through 18th, 2024. This proclamation highlights the importance of our first responders and the critical role that our law enforcement plays in maintaining our communities while also protecting the rights and interests of all our citizens and visitors, keeping the town of Kidouble Hills a safe place to work, visit, and live. And I will also make the motion to approve the proclamation of Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week in May.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All right. Very nice. So piggybacking a little bit on Sandy's comments from earlier, I would like to thank everybody for a successful trash attack. I never knew picking up garbage could be so much fun, but it really is. And I never realized that mayors had a panic button until we had trash attack this year. And, Commissioner Hykins and I found a place of need that turned out to be a place of extreme need. And I called up to think about everybody I could find. And Commissioner Gray and town staff came out and we cleaned
Took the weed eater to it.
He took the weed eater. I can't imagine truckloads of mess was cleaned up. So it was nice to clean up a blight that had probably been there for many, many years. So, and we had a neighbor of that property come out and express gratitude and direct traffic. Didn't want it too clean, but she was happy that we did what we could do. So thank you all for participating and helping out a mayor in distress.
Rescuing you.
Yeah, rescuing me. I had brought my two oldest children, and I had to call my wife. You got to get these kids. This is more than they can handle. This is too big of a mess.
Yeah.
But it was a nice day, and
Oscar did great.
Oscar did good. It was some good volunteer hours for him and his Avid class. So
I'd have been there for you. I was at town.
no,
For the record.
yeah. But that's all I have for. Oh, hold on, nope. One more thing for mayor's agenda. Early voting and second primary voting are about to begin. Just a reminder that the town hall meeting room will be serving as an early voting site and polling station for the state's second primary. Early voting will begin tomorrow, Thursday, April 25th through Friday, May 8th, with hours of 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. There's also Saturday session on May 11th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The second primary will be Tuesday, May 14th, with the polls open 6 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. The offices involved in this are candidates for Republican Lieutenant Governor and Republican State Auditor. Sandy, you don't ever get a day off. You're always working. No.
You got to go to work.
You got to go to work again.
Yes, you
I
gotta go to
believe
work.
we'll be staging this room for after our meeting tonight. Or is that so? Okay.
Wow.
So that concludes mayor's agenda. Moving on, town manager's agenda.
No, sir. And the town attorney didn't have anything this evening either.
All right. Well, let's move on to our consent agenda.
Yes, sir. The first item on the consent agenda this evening, the minutes from the March 27th, 2024, monthly report, February 2024, budget amendment number 11 to appropriate contributions received from the Police and Administration Department. Number 4 is a recommendation for the 23-24 lease purchase agreement. It recommends Town Bank with a competitive interest rate and a slightly higher escrow rate. This also includes budget amendment number 9 and number 10. Staff recommends approval of the lease financing for the purchase of these listed vehicles and equipment, the approval of budget amendment 9 and 10, and to authorize staff to enter the contracts for financing. Number 5 is an update and adoption of the official traffic map of Killable Hills. This is to convert a portion of 4th Street from US 158 to just past David Lane to no on-street parking. The official parking map is posted and includes the electronically on the website. Approval of the consent agenda will record the board's adoption of the update to the map. Number 6, town code amendment, chapter 115 taxi cabs. This is to update the 115 for the clarifying the requirements for fingerprinting through the Division of Criminal Information DCI network. It also allows for implementation of a fee of $45 to cover the processing of the fingerprints. And staff recommends approval of the proposed amendment as well as the amendment to the town's consolidation fee schedule. And approval of the consent agenda would be in order in a motion. Consent agenda approval would be recommended in motion in order.
So moved.
One quick
Sorry.
question regarding item number 6. That's strictly taxi cabs that are local. Uber drivers are
No, this is taxi cabs.
just taxi. Uber's another whole thing. Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
I probably should have said, yeah, have further. How many new firemen have we added? Chief, how many firemen have you added? You got a bunch of new firemen? Did you add about 10 or 15?
Volunteer, sir?
No, sir, paid. Yeah.
We always had.
Oh, okay. I was just looking at the numbers. 2024 year to date number of incidents, 248 compared to 199 of 2023.
We have had an increase.
20%.
And you're doing it with the same amount of people. God, we're so lucky. We are so lucky. And
Great commissioner support.
well, thank you very much for an excellent fire department. And it's in a lot of the other departments too, that they have increased incidents and increased solid waste, and they're doing it without addition of people. I mean, it's, the staff is just amazing. I just wanted to point that out. Great job.
Okay. All right, moving on to our next agenda item. Tonight, we're going to have a public forum. The Board of Commissioners encourages public input as it considers topics that may indirectly impact the town of Cadova Hills and its residents, property owners, businesses, and visitors. As a part of this commitment, the board established these public fora to hear about matters important to our community. Community members have been invited to attend this forum and also been given the opportunity to request specific items to be included within this agenda. Any submitted public forum topics will be provided to the board for consideration and discussion. So basically, we are going to a public forum is a chance to kind of have an open discussion with anybody here, kind of like our public comment, but without the rules of the 3 and 5 minutes. We can discuss what anyone is near and dear to your heart. So, Mr. White, please approach the podium, and what was yours, sir?
Just a few more questions. I know everybody's ready to go home. I was listening to what she had written or wrote or spoke of on the what's required. First of all, I invited the planning department here because I was hoping that they would answer some questions in front of you guys, and I don't see anybody here from the planning department that I have talked to, that I directly have worked with. When I applied for the permit, I was asked to calculate this percentage to see if it was close. And it was not. If you look in the middle of that survey where it's highlighted, it shows at the very bottom, total square footage of 3465. It's 13 point something. You can't quite make out what 13, but it only went up to 17.11. So it was a very minimal improvement to the lot. So I was asked, that's why you see that on there. That is what the planning department has in their file because they asked me to do that. So that right away, that shows that I'm nowhere close to having this as-built survey for that purpose. And my second argument is that the fence was permitted. And because of where it was on my property, Marty told me personally, I'm not going to make you get an as-built on the fence because you're well within your property lines. And I just think it's an unnecessary expense. I've talked to an attorney out of Edenton. He told me not to do it. We're going to discuss it further. I told him that I would try to come here first and, express my opinion because it's not just for me, it's for everybody, everybody in Kill Devil Hills. I understand if you look, I gave you 2 surveys. One was, and I just brought that because I understand when it's a house and I understand when it's close to your borders. But the first survey I showed you was my proposed for my house. It looks identical to the one that was my as-built. I went by the states that the surveyor put, but that still cost me $1,200 more. And you will see if you do a comparison in any of those numbers, any of those, it was within hundredths of an inch that anything changed from my proposed. I do understand it though when it comes to a house, the importance of it at the end. In this case, I don't, and that's all I got to say. I hope you at least discuss it with them, and I like to see where is it a state. Nobody ever wrote anything out and said I'm required to have that. Now I know that they could ask for it if it's something that's going to be tight, something that's going to be close. This doesn't even come close. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you again. I just want to say thank you so very much for the resolution. And I would be remiss, I understand that Kill Devil Hills has been nominated as one of the USA Today Best Beaches. Congratulations on that. Again, I'm going to ask for the ordinance consideration. I'm not going anywhere, so I can come every month and see your bright shining faces. I have gone to every town hall, and I'm going before the Dare County Commissioners in May. But please, again, consider it. It is a necessary evil. While the resolution means you shouldn't do it, the ordinance says you can't. And I know Kill Devil Hills brings in an awful lot of visitors. You have the potential with the resolution to educate people. Sadly, they do travel, these balloons, and every visitor that comes here, whether you're coming from Kentucky or Ohio, their balloons that they release impact our beaches. I know I've found them from other states, and if you're not on Facebook on Banned Balloon Releases NC, please, it's an open forum, join it, see how many balloons we're picking up. Even the commercial fishermen are participating in it. So it is a problem. I know ordinances are hard to cover, but I thank you very much.
Thank you. Sandy?
I'm Sandy Markland. I reside at 2013 Hampton Street. I'm also the chief judge for the KDH precinct and early voting at this site. I want to reiterate that continuation of the March 4th primary. Early voting begins tomorrow, runs Monday through Friday, the 25th through May 10th, from 8 a.m. to 7:30 here. Every resident of Dare County who is registered to vote may vote here. There are restrictions in this election because there is only a Republican ballot for the two offices, which the mayor mentioned. That last Saturday, May 11th, the hours are 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And on election day, May 14th, the hours are 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. I want to thank the town, the clerk, the manager, the staff, and the board for allowing us to use this room. This is over what is ordinarily asked for of you. I know it is a huge inconvenience for everyone who must deal with in this building to have no access to this room. So we appreciate you, and thank you so much for allowing us to be here.
We appreciate you, Sandy.
Yes, we do. All right, public forum is still open if anybody else would like to speak.
Good evening. Randy Metzger, 1507 Dogwood Lane. And I'd like to thank the board they're looking over the parking for the beach accesses. And I just want to say that I think that that the parking, that the associated houses beside the beach access, when they use it for overflow, how that impacts people that are going to the beach, residents, visitors, load up the car. You get there at 9 o'clock Saturday morning, can't find a parking place. But I'm hoping you can work it out a time and a methodology to make this work. I think it would help us get our parking back. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Yeah. All the eyes just went right there.
Actually, what was I saying? Ask all the fishermen what time before you pick that hour. Make sure you're right because they'll be bent. So this is a concept I've actually talked to Ivy a little about this. So, just something that's been weighing on me. I don't know where to start. So I've just been sort of bringing it up to different people to try to get a sense of where it goes. It's bigger than just this room by far. Obviously, everyone's worried about housing and affordable housing, workforce, what do you call it? And everyone's really focused on what to do with this immediate situation with $35 million. And I understand that, like, everyone's a time crunch, but it's bigger than that. And I think what I'm worried about moving forward is insurance pricing people out. I think the people who are lucky enough to be able to afford right now in a few years are going to find themselves in a real tough spot. And part of it, I think, is the way the system's set up. And I went to the meeting when Mike Causey was here and tried to get some answers, but apparently that's not his department. I don't know. Anyway, it just so happens that there was a couple of agents there who helped explain some things to me. So just bear with me because it's complex, obviously, and there's moving parts. But from what I gather, when you insure your home, wind and hail has to be tied directly to the same number as your homeowner's policy, right? So if I want to insure my house and you also have to insure it for like either 80% to 100% of the value. I know if the big one wipes my house out, I will not be building the same house. I'll be building half that house. And I've had that conversation with my insurance company. Like, sorry, you can't do that. I also know insurance companies are complaining they have too much risk on the table, right? They're pulling out of places because they're saying we can't afford all this risk. Apparently the state legislature controls this, but why not change that so that if I want to insure less, I can, and they're covered less, right? They have less risk because they don't want to stop writing policies. You don't think the insurance company, I'm not going to do that, but they don't want to get kicked out. They need to write policies to stay alive too. I also know, this is another really crazy, is that if you have to make a claim like that, they don't cut you a check. They make you rebuild. So to get your money back, you have to rebuild maximum. So we have a big one hit and everyone has to rebuild exact same footprint as much as possible in the same place that just got hit as we're facing all these issues moving for us. That seems short-sighted. Anyway, I'm probably getting too in the weeds here, but my question is, how do we get this conversation started so that Raleigh or whoever this person, whoever does come up with these things and makes these calls, starts looking at new ways to ensure so that we're not seeing people, because I'm not scared about a Cat 5. I'm scared about my insurance bill kicking me off this beach more than I'm worried about a major storm kicking me off this beach. So I just brought it up. I'm bringing it up. I know the house, like I said, I know the essential housing people are way focused on what to do right now with this immediate situation with the $35 million and everything else. But long term, I think before we get anything built, we're going to have people having to move who wouldn't have had to otherwise. So that's the thing. Also, we need to really start fighting these AEC thing. I don't know why that's not getting more traction and more pushback at a larger level. I don't know. It seems to me like there needs to be a little bit more. I don't know. I know you guys have been great about writing letters and stuff. Apparently the county hadn't. So I don't know. But it seems like maybe letting Raleigh know that this is not necessarily a popular idea would be a good idea there as well. And yeah.
AEC's areas of environment.
And then the other thing is, if you are looking at you already tabled it, but maybe looking at this over the summer between what it looks like in the beach in the morning and how many people are staying overnight. By the end of the summer, ask people what they think. They might be able to have a different take on before and after. Thanks for what y'all do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Anybody else like to speak at our public forum? Well, I was looking at my phone because Matt brought up a good point about how we all should be really worried about the stripping away the rights of the areas of environmental concern. And I know the Coastal Resources Commission has a meeting in a couple of days in Manteo tomorrow. And that's the group that really is making those decisions and has influence over it. So the time and opportunity is now. They're come to visit us, and I would encourage anybody to go sit in on that meeting. It's a pretty heavy duty discussion there, but it's a good time to, have your voice heard. Anybody else? Last call for public forum. Hearing none, we can move on to the next item of our meeting, which is a motion to adjourn.
Quick question.
Yes.
Where would we try to get some information to tell us where we need to send a letter on the insurance issue? Would that be Casey? Kelsey?
I'll reach out both to Willow Kelly and to Donna.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
They'll know.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that too, when I sat in for the Housing Task Force meeting, one of the things I suggested they do is create sort of a toolbox for all the towns here to use that could be, whether it's policy changes, legislative things, how we did our 90-day deed restriction. And those are things that the other towns could benefit from knowing. And that falls right into that. Just, one big toolbox that planning departments share of, things that we can. So be a good thing to fall in that box, if that box is around.
I know the insurance thing I was thinking, if somebody's paid their mortgage off, they do have the flexibility to insure to whatever level they want. I guess it's the,
They're tied together though. You have to, it has to match your policies. If you want a
Mhm.
homeowner's fire policy, it's 100% coverage.
Yeah.
Waiting, has to match that. You can't do that outright.
Yeah.
This coverage and this coverage.
Mm.
Which
Mm.
you're sort of, then you're hamstrung. What
Yeah.
you do.
What are you gonna do?
yeah.
I think, don't count me, that's. I did ask Melissa Dickerson at the meeting, and she said send letters to, our representatives in the housing center to also. Y'all may have to wait.
And
Mhm.
I just want to respond to Mr. White because I do know him, and I do know that he's a conscientious gentleman who is obviously, I don't claim to understand this fully, but I feel your frustration. I can see your lot is obviously much larger than what you're using, and I don't like hearing what I'm hearing. So I see you're frustrated. I know you're a reasonable person. I don't, it sounds what you're saying is reasonable as well. That's what I want to say to that. At least I don't know what I can do, but I'm more of a yes man, especially when the issue is not impeding on someone else, and you're staying inside your box, and you are. So I don't know. I just don't like hearing it, especially when you're told something. Anyway.
Anything else? Anybody else? I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Planning? Are you gonna follow up with planning on that? About what?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask because I just feel badly. And I know he's a good guy. He always-
I'm doing a handicap ramp and they come
Yes,
in.
you may.
It's in the ordinance.
But that was the thing. We have sound accesses too.